Patrick Bet David is the founder of the PBD podcast. Patrick has kind of been getting under people's skin, and something happened recently where now it seems like some of the things that Patrick may have said in the past are now being used against him. And this is all over this H-1B visa issue, right? So Patrick sent out this alarm. This was before Elon decided to put a community notes on his name. Listen to this. A warning to conservatives, MAGA, libertarians, and independents who were happy when Trump won. The establishment left and the Democrats are laughing their asses off right now. Their lazy strategy to divide and conquer worked, and Trump isn't even president yet. So the divide and conquer strategy didn't come from the Democrats. That came from Vivek and Elon Musk. But he didn't want to criticize Elon because he still wants to be on Elon's good side and be able to have a lot of traction and engagement from his tweets. So he didn't want to call them out. Also, he probably wants to bring them on, right? He probably wants that access as well. So he started off with that. And I think we're going to get to this other part too, but it's really funny. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this part right here, he said, them pinning Trump MAGA against Musk worked on many of you. Not all, but many. Them. Oh my God. Here are some things to consider. One, I never expected Trump, Musk, you, or I to agree on everything. It's impossible to do, regardless of you being pro H-1B or not. Two, everyone has the right to call each other out. That includes calling me, Musk, or Trump out. So hold on to that, right? He said you have the right to call him out. That's all good. We need it. However, some do it with the intention of going viral and making claims that only divides the party. We can be respectful yet direct. Would you rather us be in a situation we're in now or have Kamala in the White House? So let me push back on that for a second. I didn't want Kamala or Trump. I didn't vote for Kamala or Trump. I voted for Jill Stein. But that doesn't have anything to do with prioritizing H-1B visas over American workers. I just hosted a panel about this. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet, where we all talked about this. The data and the studies show that, yes, that is problematic for American workers. You're supposed to prioritize workers right here at home first. And Elon and Vivek did promise we're going to be America first. And Vivek comes back and now says, oh, I'm American corporations first. So they were never really looking out for the American people. But I don't expect that from a billionaire and a multimillionaire, right? But a lot of people did. A lot of people did. 4, what are your top 3 issues in order of importance that cause you to support Trump? Whatever it is, keep driving it and sharing it with everyone. Well, I didn't support Trump, but I can tell you one of the things that people said was the immigration issue. That was one of the big ones. Like, you're going to prioritize Americans first, right? So then he comes in and then he tries to, I guess, make all the rest of us feel bad. Those of us that said, no, you need to prioritize American workers first. And then he says this: as an immigrant from Iran, I saw this as an edge. I didn't mind working 80 hours a week. Motherfucker, please. Hold on. Let's highlight this. Please, Patrick. I didn't mind working 80 hours a week. I didn't mind the competition. All I wanted was a shot. This used to be the American way. Time to return it. Take a minute to read. And so he's referring to this comment from Vivek, which we've gone over and over again. We're not going to go over it again on the show. But first of all, no one should have to work 80 hours a week. This is Patrick trying to make the excuse for worker exploitation. This is a very wealthy country, and no one should have to work 80 hours a week. I believe you should be able to work 40 hours a week, or in some cases 35 hours, because depending on, like, if you're in education, that's a whole other topic. But you should be able to work 40 hours a week and not have to worry about being able to pay for your rent or your mortgage. We should have a living wage in this country. No one should have to work 80 hours a week. But also, Patrick is lying. You see how people just throw stuff out there and they don't tell people the details? Let's tell everybody the truth, Patty boy. Let's get into the truth. You see, Patrick was called out by Community Notes. Community Notes be on it. Patrick Bet David made his money by founding a predatory multi-level marketing pyramid scheme, which he then used to market himself as a business guru on YouTube. He is essentially a scam artist. And you know what? This is for real. MLMs are a scam. Like, if people don't know that by now, I'll tell you a little bit more about it in just a second, because I had participated in MLM before, and I'll go through all that. But you didn't work 80 hours a week, Pat. Didn't do it, Patty boy. You had other people work those hours for you. And that's how you got to where you are. And yes, we all know the pyramid scheme is a scam. Keep it real, Pat. So he's upset because Community Notes called him out. Hey, Elon Musk, I appreciate the value of Community Notes and fact-checking misinformation, but this particular note falls short of the platform's stated objectives. Oh, yes, because it's about you, Pat. It feels more like a personal attack tied to my stance on H-1B visas, resembling the flaws of Wikipedia, where anyone can spread libel or defame someone's character. Doesn't this undermine the integrity of X's commitment to fair and unbiased information? Listen up, Patty boy. Everybody knows by now that, yes, you did start an MLM. You did have a pyramid level scheme. Stop going around telling people that you worked 80 hours a week. You exploited the people that were a part of the MLM, which would have been under you. And that's how you got to where you were. What did I tell you guys about Vivek? He was running around on all these different shows when he was running for president. And he said, my parents came here with nothing. All I had to do was a quick little look up and saw that they didn't come here with nothing. They came here with college degrees, both of them. They were upper caste system. They were Brahmins. So they didn't come here with nothing. Guys, when you hear people say these things, my parents came here with nothing. I came here with nothing. I came here with just $1 in my pocket. Always look these things up. That's all I ask. Look those things up. So what is the MLM? Let me show you what it is, right? I'll tell you how it works, because again, I used to think these things worked. Like I tried to be a seller one time in MLM, and then I was like, what the heck is this, right? So MLM, businesses and pyramid schemes. These are businesses that involve selling products to family and friends and recruiting other people to do the same. And they're called multi-level marketing, network marketing. So it's MLM or direct marketing business. Some MLMs are illegal pyramid schemes. Before joining an MLM program, they tell you some things that you need to know. Now, let me show you how they work, because this is the part I think is important. MLM companies sell their products or services through person-to-person sales. And that means that you're selling directly to other people, maybe from your home, a customer's home, or online. If you join an MLM program, the company may refer to you as an independent distributor, participant, or contractor. Most MLMs say you make money two ways. This is the important part. By selling the MLM's product yourself to retail customers who are not involved with the MLM, or by recruiting new distributors and earning commissions based on what they buy in their sales to retail customers. So let me tell you about a few of them. Ladies, you may be familiar with the company called Yvonne, right? So Yvonne is an MLM. They sell beauty products. I think they started selling clothes too at one point, but beauty products, perfume, all that kind of stuff. And what they do is it's someone else who already works for them. And they'll come to you and say, hey, I'm selling Avon. Y'all want to buy anything? Da, da, da. And then they'll try to recruit you. And then they'll tell you, well, if you like what I do, you can become an Avon salesperson and you can do that full time, just like I do. And you can quit your job. Always watch out when people say, and you can quit your job. And so you then take on that opportunity and you say, okay, I want to be a seller. You would be ranked under them. So this is where the pyramid starts. And then you go out and you sell products. Then you try to recruit more people to also become sellers. And then those people will be under you. Oftentimes what happens in these MLM pyramid schemes is that the people who are making the money are the people who are at the top, which would have been Patrick. Patrick was at the top. Those are the ones making the money. Every now and then, a couple of people may be able to get up to that upper level status. But the way the pyramid level scheme is designed is that most people will not get there. The person who started it gets it. So it's Avon, Mary Kay, Amway is another one. You may be familiar with some of these. Like those are all MLMs, and they're really good at recruiting people because they tell you like all you have to do, you sell this much, you get this much, and you recruit this many people, then you're making this much money. It relies on you being able to recruit as many people as possible so that the person at the top makes more money. So if Patrick Bet David has like 10 sellers underneath him, and those 10 people have 10 people underneath them individually, who do you think is making all the money? Patrick Bet David. That's how it works. So that's what Patrick did. So Patrick got upset because Community Notes called it out. It's true. Stop saying you worked 80 hours a week. Then he also went into this, and this is another thing, because now he's trying to backtrack what he said before about white privilege. So again, here he is talking about what he was able to do and how his skin color didn't matter. Now, if you didn't know any of the information that I just gave you, it's really easy to watch this video and believe Patrick. Now listen to this.
White privilege. So let me get this straight. So that means somebody has privileges over me because they're white? Really? You really believe that? I don't buy that. I had somebody that messaged me on Facebook a couple of days ago saying, because I posted the fact that I was in the military as somebody being Middle Eastern, and this person said, I really feel bad. I have to really, understand what it must feel like as a Middle Eastern man to be in the army and be judged and discriminated. And yeah, I do know, I understand I have white privileges, but I'm getting a better feeling about it lately that I have some privileges you don't have. Who made you decide that you have privileges that I don't have? Who are you to even say that? Like, seriously, let me get this straight. I came from a broken family. Parents got a divorce. Mom ran out of money, went back to Iran. I joined the army. Okay. Yes, I didn't have the fanciest life. We never lived in a house. I don't know what it is to have money, but I decided to create privileges for myself. I like good food. So I went and worked hard. I created privileges for myself.
He created privileges for himself by exploiting other people. That's the part that Patrick doesn't tell you. Now, back then, that's what he said. That's how he felt. There was no such thing as white this. And, he said this before in his show. He's talked about like, oh, there's no such thing as white privilege. And people just got to lift themselves up by the bootstraps, which, I don't agree with that. And I'll get to why in just a second. But Patrick leaves out something that's very important. I told you before, oftentimes a lot of people who write this song and this story, they don't tell you about what they did to get to where they are. They'll tell you that, oh, I started this company, but they don't give you the details that went into starting that company. They don't tell you that they were underpaying people. They don't tell you that maybe a family member gave them the loan for them to be able to start the business. You always got to pay attention to things like that. He goes on.
I got in an industry of financial services day before 9/11 as a Middle Eastern man. And 9/11 was caused, the last time I checked, by folks from the Middle East. And that's when I got into the industry. I didn't say, oh my gosh, let me not go sell stocks and money under management and insurance and annuities because I'm Middle Eastern. No, you don't have privileges over me because you're white. You don't. You don't have privileges over me because you're Middle Eastern. Matter of fact, on the census, it says white, African American, Native American, Pacific Islander, Asian. There is nothing in there that says Middle Eastern. And I still don't think you have privilege over me.
And what box do you check, Patrick? What box does Patrick check? He checks the box that says white. So see, this is why exactly, Rolando. This is why. Let's go on a little bit more. Hold on.
I don't want my kids to grow up thinking, oh, they're a Syrian Armenian. They're not privileged because they're a Syrian Armenian. No. They're privileged because they're a Bet David living in America. That's the greatest privilege you have. You're living in America. What other kind of privilege do you want? So look, again, some people are not going to like what I'm saying right now, but I'll give you this other part. If you really believe and allow other people.
Okay, then it ends there, right? So Patrick seems to be a little bit confused, right? He, at that point in this video, he was saying the same types of things that Elon Musk say and Vivek say. People who immigrated to this country and they're like, well, I came here and I did well, so what's wrong with you? And they'll omit information that there are certain things, opportunities that are given to people who do immigrate here that are not given to those of us that are born and raised here. I went to go see Mr. Marty back in the day. Mr. Marty was, dude, probably the best nail tech, right? Mr. Marty worked at this nail salon in Columbia, South Carolina. And one day I just asked the question. I said, Mr. Marty, can you tell me something? When you came to the US, how were you able to open like this big nail salon? And did you have money before you came here? And, you employed everybody here. You know what Mr. Marty told me? Mr. Marty said, some of us already have money. He said, but those of us that don't, we're offered to have that business loan to open the business, but we don't have to pay taxes on the business for the first 10 years. I said, what? I was very young. I think it was like 23. I was like 23 when we had that conversation. Mr. Marty told me everything. And that's when I realized, so that's how it works. Because if I were to open a business tomorrow, I'm not given that opportunity. I'm not offered, the first 10 years I don't have to pay. I'm not given that opportunity. And I have good credit. Some of the banks might turn me down just by me walking in and looking at my face. I'm sorry, you don't have any collateral. You don't have any collateral. Maybe try the credit union down the street. So that's how he felt back then, right? He's singing a different tune now. Now that community notes post was posted. Here's what Patrick is saying now. Oh my God.
One of the tweets, I said, our founding fathers, a guy responds back and says, those are not your founding fathers. Mm-hmm. Guy posts a picture of the Shah of Iran, says, that's your founding father. Oh, so funny. But that tells you what, a part of this, there's nationalists and there's white nationalists. Mm-hmm. White nationalists, Vinny, don't want people like us here. I know. They just don't. White nationalists are a very different model. You view me as...
You see what it said? Look at this.
The Shah of Iran says, that's your founding father.
Oh, so funny.
But that tells you what, a part of this, there's nationalists and there's white nationalists.
So you just figured this out? Patrick, you just figured out that there's white nationalists? Didn't black people try to tell you this? And you said, I don't buy this. I don't buy this privilege or race or any of that kind of thing. That's because you're white adjacent. Keep that in mind. Look at me. I was a businessman. I became very successful. Look at all the things that I was able to do. But now all of a sudden, now that he was getting attacked on Twitter by all these people saying, how dare you, defend Elon and Vivek about the H-1B visas first. How dare you do that? So people came after him. A lot of the MAGA people came after him and they said, oh, hell to the no. I'll give him credit for that one. At least they pushed back. They went in and they shut Pat down. Now all of a sudden he's like, oh my God, there's white nationalists. They might not like me.
White nationalists, Vinny, don't want people like us here.
I know.
They just don't. White nationalists are a very different model. You view me as go back to Iran, deport Elon back to, what do you call it, South Africa. Deport Vivek back to India, right? And you make those types of comments. All right.
So because people said those things and they were saying it, people were saying those things about Vivek and Elon. They also, because he defended them, they started making those comments about Patrick as well. So then after that, Patrick was like, wait a minute. Maybe they don't like me after all. Right? Because he's from Iran. Not because he's white adjacent, but because he's from Iran. So he's like, oh no, they're telling me to go back to Iran and da-da-da-da. Patrick got his wake-up call.
I don't think that's majority of America. I think that's less than 5%.
That is the far right.
America. Yeah, that's the far right.
Ultra-nationalists.
That's the far right. And the far left wants open borders and let everybody come in here. Let's legalize everyone. The far right wants, if you're not a white nationalist, get the hell out of here. The problem here is you as a consumer not knowing the position of the individual before they say it, and you think everyone is in that position. They're not.
Look at this, guys. So you know what, Patrick, and this is what, and listen, to all of my international friends, what I have said over and over again, when you make comments that are like, well, I came to this country and I'm doing well, why aren't you doing well? When you make those types of comments to people, like, it's only a matter of time before people turn that arrow towards you and they start belittling you. So always remember that. Okay? Some of my Asian friends, we got to talk for a minute. Somebody, I got to tell you, we got to talk about something. Okay? Because sometimes you guys can be pretty racist towards us too. And I get it. And you were already told things about black people before you come here. And then you get here and you're kind of just like, well, let me try to align myself with white people. And then it was like during the pandemic, when there were a lot of hate crimes that were being committed towards Asian Americans, particularly in this area in Massachusetts, then all of a sudden, like Pat Bet David, you were reminded that you're not white. So never look down on the people. And I say this over and over again. Don't point fingers and look down on the people, especially those of us who were born here, raised here, who may not be doing as well as you are economically. That doesn't make us less than. That doesn't make us, ignorant people or anything like that. Instead of making that assumption, maybe take a look around and ask yourself, what is it that you were offered that wasn't offered to those of us here? There's that. And then there's another thing. Patrick is a big pull yourself up by the bootstraps guy. And I never really agreed with that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because that supports the individual. If we really want America to be a great country, we should be supporting communities, not an individual. And you'll see that here. What does this look like? Proud Socialist made a comment here that I thought was pretty cool, breaking this down. Proud Socialist, power to the people. Capitalism has told us that the American dream is becoming a mega millionaire or even a billionaire. The American dream should be collectively building a society where nobody starves or goes homeless and everybody is treated equally, fully insured and paid a living wage. This reminds me of Patrick. This part here, the American dream is becoming a mega millionaire, or even a billionaire. We are going to change what it means to have the American dream in this country. I told you in 2025, we are going to change the way that we say things. So when we talk about the American dream, we have to stop talking about it from the perspective of the individual, because enriching the individual doesn't necessarily enrich the community and the society. There are a lot of people that have made their way out of poverty, and they pulled up the ladder behind them. And they want to go on these videos and do these interviews and said, I did this and I did that. Jay-Z's another one. They like to do that. But if you're not taking that benefit that you have and you're not trying to empower and help the people in the very same community that you grew up in after you got your wealth and you got moving, what good are you? This part right here that Eric says, I think is spot on. At its core, billionaire capitalism is about theft. The hardest working, most driven sociopath, the best thief, is the one who ends up on top. It's up to the 99% to put a stop to it. This requires clear demands and a strategy. See 11 demands for both. And we've gone over this before on the show, and we've told you guys about the 11 demands, but you really got to start saying this MCDS: money, corruption, and demands. Fix big money in politics and government. Healthcare for all. A minimum standard of living for everyone. End the wars. Respond to the climate emergency. Racial and criminal justice reform. Reject censorship. Immigration reform. An election system we can trust. Revamp taxation and funding. Democratize the enterprise. Because you see, when we go back to Patrick buys into the idea of the American dream that is aligned with the individual, lifting yourself up by your bootstraps. Not everybody has boots and not everybody has straps. What Patrick should be bragging about, instead of bragging about himself, he should be bragging about, how did you empower and lift up other people in your community, Patrick? When you started making all that money, what did you do to empower the other people in your community to get to the point of where you are? But see, Patrick can't talk about that, because if Patrick talks about that, he goes down that lane, he has to talk about he got to those mega millions by exploiting the people who worked under him, by his MLM scheme, the pyramid scheme. So when we talk about the American dream, we are going to talk about enriching the community, not enriching the individual who gets the money, pulls up the ladder, and leaves the community and says bye-bye. That's how we're going to talk about it moving on. People like Patrick, they are very quick to point their finger at other people who did not get to their level of success. And that's if you want to call it success, if they exploited people. But they never want to tell you how they got there. Did you know he had a problem with the community notes there when he responded? But did you notice that he didn't debunk it? Did you notice that Patrick Bett never said in his tweet that it was a lie? Because it's not. This guy is a scammer, has been a scammer. And that's the truth. Keep it real. If you were a hustler, say you were a hustler, Pat. You've seen rappers do this over and over again. Rappers will tell you, yeah, I was hustling. So just say that, Pat. Say you were hustling and you hustled some people and that's how you got to your mega millions. But quit me with this lie saying that you worked 80 hours a week. You use those resources to help the people in the community that you came from. Help those people, Patrick, and stop pointing your fingers at other people and blaming them and saying, oh, you did this. You didn't work as hard as I did. You didn't work that hard either, Patrick. You made other people work that hard. Never forget, folks. So this was the time, I think, that Patrick got his wake-up call. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.